Good morning. This is Pastor Ernie Lewis of the Blue Point Church in Sisney, Illinois. I wonder if you have ever been in a real fight. I mean, a struggle hand to hand where you felt like you just had to win for the sake of your life. Well, if you ask any Christian, they'll probably admit to that kind of struggle almost every day within their members. Galatians 5:16 and 17 says, I say then, walk in the Spirit, that you shall not fulfill the lusts of the flesh. For the flesh lusts against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary to one another, so that you do not do the things that you wish. You see, Paul wanted the church to understand within its members there are going to be these battles daily that we struggle between the spirit and the mind. And the only way that believers win is by walking in the Spirit. Now, that is not an easy task, although Paul seems to say it that way. Paul even struggles with this himself. In Romans chapter 7 and verse 19, Paul said, For the good that I will to do, I do not do. But the evil I will not to do, it seems like that I practice. Why is it that we go through this struggle? You see, the struggle is as old as man, all right? It's what persuaded Adam and Eve to partake of that forbidden fruit. It's what caused David, a man after God's own heart, to actually commit adultery with Bathsheba. It's that struggle within the mind. You see, the greatest battlefield that we face is this 6 inches here between our ears. It's the place where we have all those thoughts that perhaps go astray or overtake us. Sometimes thoughts that are implanted there by the world. Paul says the flesh and the spirit are contrary to one another. It's like the story of the Native American who said, it feels like there are these 2 dogs fighting within me. One of them is a black dog. One of them is a white dog. And they constantly struggle. So someone asked him, now, which dog wins the battle? And he said, it's usually the one that I say sick 'em to, you know. We have that control, but oftentimes we surrender it to Satan. Due to this ongoing battle, Paul writes that we should walk in the Spirit. And you realize our walk in the Christian life describes a little bit of everything. Our walk pertains to the way that we think. Our walk pertains to the things that we read. I mean, we need some positive input in this computer hard drive. Our walk pertains to how we pray. Are we really praying for God's work and His will in our lives? Or are we wanting what we want? Our walk tends to deal with where we go. Because I know that God has some very definite plans as to where He wants us to be and where He doesn't want us to be. We certainly need to realize that our walk includes our meditating, the things that we think about. Paul says, whatever things are just and pure and lovely, think on these things. That will help us to walk in the Spirit. And if we're really walking in the Spirit, we'll be able to overcome Satan and the flesh. But Paul says one of the worst problems that exists in this realm is you end up doing not the things that you wish. In other words, as a Christian, there are certain things I would love to do to please God, but sometimes the flesh gets in the way. Knowing how God has called me to behave, understanding how He has called me to follow Him, I need desperately to win this battle, and so do you. So today, let's walk in the Spirit and deny the lusts of the flesh in our minds and our hearts, so that we might do what God has called us to do.